He was 19 when the crime that led to his incarceration was committed. Our girls were 6 months old and not quite two. My kids don't remember their dad outside of a prison visitation room.
How were y'all able to co-parent and keep this family unit and this bond so tight all these years through incarceration?
He was like, I want to spend my life with you. He's like, will you marry me? And I was like, are you being serious? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, but are you being serious though? Like, what?
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Love Within Walls, a Prison Wife podcast. It's your friendly host, Gigi here, and I'm here with the lovely...
Your friendly co-host, Paige. Hello, friends.
Hey, guys. Welcome back. We're on episode 20-5. Can you believe it? Holy shit. It's a quarter of 100 here.
Literally. How?
We're taking over the world, Paige.
When did we start?
In February.
Wow.
So this is month 6.
Wow, we're halfway through the year. Some of y'all have been listening to us for a half of a year.
Y'all are OGs, our OG Wallers over there. With been here from day one, telling us how much we've grown from episode 1 to episode now 25. Wow. Sorry, it just boggles my mind that we've come this far.
It's crazy.
This far.
It's crazy.
Well, welcome everybody. Just a few little tiddly bits before we get going. Just a heads up. I know we're at 25. I feel like Paige and I have earned a little well-deserved vacay from the pod. So we are going to be taking the next 2 weeks off. I know your heart is breaking right now. We will, in those 2 weeks, be working on things. We will have a pod ready to go after the next 2 weeks. But we will also be creating content. If you miss us that much, you can slide on over to our Patreon because we will still be producing mini pods and other amazing content for you over there on these 2 weeks off. Paige, did you want to tell them a little bit about what you plan on doing, or you just want to let them just find out?
Well, I plan on doing a little video that has to do with my visit coming up. So a little bit of a, behind the scenes of that. And then, more of our other fun stuff. We made a poll for some of our Patreons to answer and got some good feedback. So...
So we have some good things in the works. And I will say thank you to all of y'all who do support us, our Patreon people, and raving about our first mini pod. Obviously, that was, I'll be honest, Paige, that was the easiest pod.
It was so good. And then we were like, I guess we should stop this because we're like, I don't know how,
we could just keep going forever and ever talking about sex. I swear. So if you want something a little bit more on the adult side of the prison wife life, come over to our Patreon. We'd love to have you and join our OG Waller squad and get exclusive adult sexy content.
Speaking of that, if you're on YouTube, hang around to the end of the video for a little cute little surprise that we have added to the end of this. It's for our Patreon.
Yes, I'm very, very excited. And Paige did a great job with that, by the way. It was beautiful. I got chills because it's like official, like a referee with the whistle. It's official. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get 25 started, shall we? We're going to go ahead and start with our sponsor, Beyond Bars Imaging. Not .com, but just Beyond Bars Imaging. If you don't know, Paige can do a whole number of things. She can do stickies, cartoons, painting-esque type pictures where it looks like there's brush strokes, merging pictures, putting whatever scene, whatever clothing, sorry, I hit my phone, my mic, whatever clothing you want on you and your loved one, on your family. You can even put people in that aren't even in the picture. So she can do a whole gamut of things, and she's wonderful at it. She knows what she's doing. slide into her DMs or go over to her Facebook page, Beyond Bars Imaging, or Insta, Beyond Bars Imaging, or TikTok, Beyond Bars Imaging, and get your picture requests in to Paige.
Thank you.
All right. Are we ready, Paige?
Yes.
Okay, we ready to sing?
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. Ooh. What up with that? What up with that? What up with that legislation, Paige? Do you have anything?
I do.
All right.
So this is a little bit of this is actually a story. This man was vacated of his conviction last year, but the city came to a decision money-wise now, so it's back in the news again. The city of Edmond, Oklahoma, has agreed to pay $7.15 million to Glenn Ray Simmons, a former death row incarcerated man exonerated after nearly 50 years on death row.
48 to be exact.
Making him the longest serving U.S. incarcerated person to be declared innocent. 50 years, 48 years of your life stolen. Simmons, who is now 71, keep that in mind, was convicted at 22 years old, for a robbery and a murder that he did not commit. Based on falsified police reports and withheld evidence, his conviction was vacated in July 2023, and he was fully exonerated in December. The lawsuit against Edmond is settled, but claims against Oklahoma City and the retired detective are still pending.
God bless this man, and I feel terrible. And I'll be honest, for almost 5 decades of your entire life, $7 million does not seem like enough, especially being on death row, because death row is probably the worst conditions.
Alone, how do you how do you put a number on that?
But I mean, I'm glad that he's getting something and a good amount of money, but I don't think his 50 years of them fucking up and putting him behind bars for 50 years in a 23-1 condition is worth just $7.1 million. I'll be straight up with that, and I'll sit here and argue that all day. Imagine being in prison for almost 50 years.
Nonetheless, not like it's like,
yeah, not like it's,
the country club.
The new San Quentin, I mean, so just, I my heart goes out. I was grabbing my heart in my chest because my heart was breaking for this man
22.
who lived in horror.
Imagine.
And yeah,
it makes me so
mad. And let me say this is why and I wanted to comment because I shared this story on my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page, and I wanted to comment, but I didn't, because I wanted to say this just proves that the system is unjust and it's corrupt and it's broken.
So, because not only
that we have somebody that could have been put to death for something that he did not do.
Guess what? Like, taxpayers and everything paid for him to be incarcerated for that long, and now you guys are also going to be paying this $7 million because but it's crazy. It's like, where is the response for? It makes my blood boil.
No, I know it's very heartbreaking. But I mean, shout out to this guy for staying strong and not giving up, because I will tell you, it's so easy to do that, especially in a place like death row.
Imagine.
I mean, it's very easy. So, I'm glad that he's getting something. I don't think it's enough for the years that he's been put into torture, basically, because the state fucked up and the state wanted a notch on their belt, basically. Fuck you,
yeah. Oklahoma is trash. And I mean, I know that they have many people, and like another really good case to look into if you're not familiar with the people on, can I talk? Richard,
are you talking about Richard?
Look up that case if you don't know anything about it. It's crazy.
And can I add Julius Jones, who was in Oklahoma as well, who just got off of death row because people are advocating.
I remember that day when the kids got up from school and all walked out. That was I have chills thinking about it. I'm like, that was so awesome. I remember that. Because they were all like, what the fuck?
My arm is like up.
Like, it was so cool. Like, everyone came together and, like, and then for them to only put him down to a life sentence when he's innocent, like it's like
Completely innocent.
ah,
And the fact that there are people, even for Richard Glossop's case as well, both of these
mhm.
cases, Richard Glossop's case, there are people fighting, like senators,
People on the other
representatives,
side,
legal
you know,
people, like
yeah,
attorney generals fighting for
yeah,
his life. And the governor's like, no,
mhm.
he's guilty. I'm just, like he's ready to sign the death warrant. Like, what the fuck?
Yup.
Oh, this is why our system is broken. This is why the death penalty does not work, because
What if they would have killed
you end up
him?
executing. That's what I'm
What, you
saying.
can't get that back.
Oh, lost. And think about people like, what is it, George Stinney, who was 14 years old, a young boy who was brought to the electric chair and basically executed at 14, and I think he was in North Carolina, and who was I can never say it, posthumously declared innocent and killed by the state. Now this was probably in the 30s or 40s, or the 50s, but still.
Wow. It's stomach.
They were certain that he did it. A 14-year-old little boy put on an electric chair.
Oh,
Sorry. I can go on for days because you know how I feel
yeah,
about it.
you
I
know,
wish I would have worn my other
yeah,
shirt. I wish I would have worn my other shirt because I'm wearing my prison
you know
pod
how I
shirt,
feel
but
about the death
I should have
penalty,
worn
and I
the
know that a lot of people
yeah.
are for it for even certain circumstances, but I'm I'm one of the people that will fight with you against it for all. And like it's like even when, you know, people want to come back and be like, well, what if they did something to your kid or your, and like, you know, it doesn't change the fact that in my brain that the government does not have the right to do that.
Correct. I even told my mom, I said, Mom, if someone kills me,
God,
I don't want them to get the
yes,
death penalty.
me either. No.
Killing them is I don't what is that
Mm-mm,
going to do?
mm-mm.
Nothing. So it's to me it's just a barbaric practice. And like I said, we're the only first world country that still practices this. So keep that in the back of your
I
noggins.
have another fun story. That's a short
Oh, go
one.
ahead.
Just a little announcement, or maybe like PSA for anyone that has a loved one in the Oregon State prison system. They have a possible tuberculosis case identified in the Oregon State prison.
TB's
Yeah,
back.
it was identified.
We're bringing TB
Let's not.
back.
Let's
Sorry.
not.
No,
Let's not
I'm
bring
just
TB
messing.
back. So the DOC said that an incarcerated person at Oregon State Penitentiary who had been there for about 4 months showed symptoms of the illness. Tuberculosis is serious but treatable bacterial infection. Um, Basically, the person has been closed off from everyone, but they have to report it. You know what I mean? Because it's TB, and
Yeah.
God forbid. I mean, I saw something on the news the other day about monkeypox and stuff, and I'm like, you guys, I can't with all of these. Like, I just can't. Like, I've had enough. I've lived through enough crazy shit for right now. I'm good.
Yeah. Wait till we get Oregon Trail and we get dysentery back. I can't wait.
Mm-hmm.
Get in, loser. We're getting dysentery. Anyway, but I was going to say TB is back because I will say that Michael, the whole tier, like maybe a couple weeks ago, just had a TB test. I guess because they live in close quarters, it can be easily spread. And I don't know if you remember, like when my parents talked about TB and they had like sanatoriums where people went when they had
Mm-hmm.
tuberculosis and they had to go lay in an iron
Yeah.
lung and, all this crazy
Yeah.
crap. I can't imagine all that coming back. So that's scary shit
Mm-hmm.
right
And being in a prison with
there.
it.
I know I joke, but it is scary. It is very
Ugh.
scary. All right. I have two things. I'll be really quick with the first one. The first one's out of New York from Brooklyn, representing Brooklyn. It's our favorite kind of story page. An officer is sentenced to prison for accepting bribes in exchange for smuggling contraband into the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn. Defendant provided narcotics and cell phones to inmates in exchange for more than $20,000. Yikes. He was sentenced to 30 months imprisonment for accepting bribes in exchange for providing contraband. He pleaded guilty. to those charges. So once the CO, now the incarcerated individual. But hey, guess you know what we always say? It's the visitors, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we make $20,000 off this shit every time we come, right? No,
Mm-hmm.
come on.
They thought.
Speaking of super corrupt, we have a whistleblower in Louisiana.
Ooh.
Yes, calling out the Louisiana DOC. A Department of Corrections employee is choosing to remain, and thank you. I want to give a shout out to my RHOA crew for bringing this to me. A Department of Corrections employee is choosing to remain anonymous, but blowing the whistle on what they claim are relaxed drug policies at Hunt Correctional. The drug problem is off the charts, they said. The employee says recently a large part of officers' duties at the prison have been resuscitating overdosing inmates. The intoxication is off the charts. You might see anywhere from 5 to 10 intoxications in any day. They say the drugs are mainly coming in from one source. And we quote, he was allowed to stay out all night and he had the ability to go to different places to pick up anything he wanted to. The employee says it's well known that a certain inmate has special privileges to move around the grounds because the warden allows him to do maintenance. If you go in the back of Hunt Correctional Center, you can go all the way outside the prison, which is true. I have heard that from someone that was there. The inmate who is doing a life sentence for murder is allowed to drive an ATV, and the employee alleges he uses it to pick up drugs, which he distributes inside the prison. So my question is, how are they getting inside?
So this is a story somewhere.
Mm-hmm. This was a news story a few days ago. So they're whistleblowing obviously a trustee who's a trust. When you're a trustee, you get to move freely around the camps or the facilities. So this is obviously a trustee that is moving drugs. And, if you think about how are they getting in the facility, well, either someone's meeting him on the outside and getting in or staff. Let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's happening all hours of the day. It's not happening just at visitation, which is only 2 days a week.
I'm sure that they would love to use that one incident and be like, well, it's got to be all coming from that.
Yeah. When the majority of the contraband shows it's coming from the people that work there.
Yeah.
Anywho, those were my two stories. So hey, shout out to the whistleblower.
Yeah. Anyway,
because first of all, it takes a lot of guts to come forward and say people know about it. The warden knows about it, and he's not doing shit. So, all right. Do you have, Paige? Oh, do we have a mean tweet of the week, Paige?
I don't think I do. I had some guy go through a few of my TikToks and just say, ditch this loser and get with a winner. But that was just like, it was just like, what, I don't have anything specific. The haters, I guess I got to post something more controversial, piss them off a little bit.
It doesn't matter whatever you post, there's somebody
Someone's
that's
mad.
going to be an ignorant ass. Okay, well, if you find one, let me know and I'll pause. I was going to do a quick little story time because I like to be transparent about my life with Michael. Paige knows what happened yesterday. I was going to visit. And I want you guys to know that we, as a couple, we struggle like everybody else. This is not easy. I have great times with him, and I've learned to adapt over these 8 years and not take things so harshly. But there's sometimes where you get in a funk. This past week has been a little off for us in regards to communication. Wi-Fi has been down, phones have been down. There's just been a lot of not being able to talk this week, and boy, did we feel it. Okay, I'm gonna say this. I know my mom's gonna hear this, so I'm gonna say it, but she's gonna have to just hear it. I was in before Michael, with my ex-husband, I was in a very emotionally abusive relationship, narcissistic, always talked down to me, treated me made me feel like I was less than, and that any ideas I had, any questions I had, I couldn't talk about it because I was stupid for thinking that way. Um, when in the at the end of the day, I love these memes where it's like when your intuition's right and you're just like, you know, everything I was feeling, all the questions I had about my marriage were actually true. It turned out to be true. He wasn't the person that he was trying to portray. So anyway, um, so I come to Michael with a lot of doubts, a lot of trust issues, and so without that communication this week, we both struggled, and I had a lot of doubts with us, like, maybe he's choosing not to call me. Maybe what if he's, because you hear these horror stories from when you open Facebook, if you're a prison wife, you open Facebook and one of the stories is like, he's cheating on me. He's,
You were
I found out there's
everyone was
somebody
right.
else. Everyone was right. I ignored the red flags. And not that I ever think Michael has red flags, because he is, to me, one of the most beautiful human beings I've ever met in my entire life. And I'll stand on that. But and I trust him implicitly. Believe me, it took a long time to get here. But I had those doubts, and I now I've learned to pay attention to them. But my problem is I'm not in the same relationship with Michael that I was with my ex-husband. So yes, I'm used to doubting, but there's nothing there to doubt, But I was doubting, and I was like, well, maybe he just doesn't want to talk to me. Maybe it's not the phones are out. Like, cause maybe, cause the phones can be out at different places. It doesn't have to be the whole facility, basically. Um, and so yesterday I went to visit, and I got there a little early, but Michael, he knew I was there because they did a first call. Then I get back there. I was like rushed out, like from the visitor center, to put on the bus right away. Got there really quickly. And I waited almost an hour for him to come out. And I got to the point where I was like, maybe he doesn't want to see me. Maybe there's a reason that he hasn't talked to me all week. Maybe there's a reason that he's not coming out, because he's usually out within a
Just how
minute or
you know
two,
your head was spiraling for you to even think that.
Yes. Yes. Um, and I walked up to the Miss Cummings, who's the CO and the front desk at Death Row, and her and I have we have a decent relationship because I've been going back there for so long. I said, can you call the bus for me? Because I don't think he wants to come out. And so she's like, oh my God, he hasn't come out yet? Like, I was like, no, he's not there. So it ended up being she called either the wrong person, or, he didn't know that I had arrived. But I basically, once he walked out, I lost it. I started crying because I was just those deja vu feelings of having all those emotions over again. I was like, I can't do this again. I can't go through all this again. Not with the person I thought would never do that.
Yeah.
Like all of that, like my head was spiraling. So I will say I had to come home, and I put myself in stress mode to the point where I gave myself almost like a migraine. And I had to leave visit 2 hours, which never happens. I'm usually there for at least 6-7 hours. Everybody was shocked that I left early. But I ended up getting so dizzy, and I couldn't eat. I ordered food, but I didn't eat. I was barely talking to Michael. That's usually what happens when I get the trigger warnings of a migraine. So I had to leave early. And luckily we were able to talk last night and this morning about it, and he was upset that I left early, but Michael's the most patient, grace, like gives me so much grace. So I just wanted to tell you, like, and I had to wake up this morning. I was still in a funk because I felt guilty of what happened yesterday, me overreacting and me being in my own head, that I had to medicate this morning. I'll be honest. I had to take a little prosy pros, because I was still there and I was still spiraling a little bit, and I felt more guilty than anything. But Michael, he's like, I will never not come out. If I don't come out in 10 minutes, you go up there and you tell them he's not here. So luckily
No, I was just going to
go
say
ahead. I'm
that's
sorry.
complex PTSD fully. Like, you know what I mean? It's having that feeling happen again and feeling it, and your brain taking you back to that exact moment. And you're like, this is what's happening, because that's all that you know. Because like your brain is trying to like compute. And I just relate to it so much because I mean, And those who are close to me know that my relationship before Joseph was with someone who was very um, narcissistic, a lot of other bad, qualities too. And just like, when it comes to gaslighting and like all of those
Yes.
narcissistic tendencies that like it's enough for you to not realize you're like in a emotionally abusive relationship in the middle of it until you're out of it and you're like, whoa, wait, what? Like this was all valid. And it's like you don't want to be in that relationship now where you're like, wait, I thought that, but ABC, not, you know,
Yeah.
DEF.
And it's funny, in the back of my head, I know these things. Like, I know this is not my ex-husband. Michael is totally different. I trust him implicitly. Like, and he goes above and beyond to prove to me that he's not that
Mm-hmm.
person. Um to reassure me, because I need it. I need that reassurance. So he's willing to go above and beyond for that. But I think, and I knew that in the back of my head, I'm like, don't fuck this day up. Don't fuck this day up. And ended up
It
fucking it
can't.
up, and I felt
Yeah,
so bad.
once you hit it, you
But
can't go back. And like,
and it's
I was
go
just
ahead.
gonna
I'm
say,
sorry.
like, there were literally times when Joe had to tell me before, like, I'm not person's name. Like, so I understand that you're gonna have like, feelings and stuff from it, but you can't hold that against me. And I'm like, it's true, and I can't, and I know that, but it's getting my brain to compute, Yeah.
Yeah, 100. Mike says the same as anything. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
him. Like, I'm not gonna say his name. I'm not him. I'm not him. Don't
Yes.
compare me
I've
to
done
him.
nothing to,
So yeah. But I just wanted to be transparent with you guys, because I know it seems like, Facebook is the highlight reel. And if I've been quiet this past week in our group, that's probably why. I've just been struggling. And luckily, even though yesterday, and it's easier said than done, like you say, oh, get over it, move on. But when you have a brain that's stuck there and it's so hard to shake, um, I feel bad that I left yesterday. And I tried so hard in the back of my head, don't fuck this day up. Like, you only get 2 days a month. Like, don't fuck it up. But the walls were closing in on me. When I got up, I had to grab the wall. I was so dizzy. Like, I had to get out
mm-hmm.
of there. And I didn't even stop at the little market. I just drove straight home, got in bed, and just laid in bed the rest of the day. Um, Paige even wanted to film last night, and I'm like, I just can't do it. I can't even formulate a fucking
Mm-hmm.
sentence. Like, I was a hot mess. So, but I needed it. I think with, school coming back, stress, it's been very stressful. If you're a teacher, the first month it's nonstop. You don't get a break. I think with all that, plus not being able to talk to him, threw me
Mm-hmm.
off a lot. So, um, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of be open and transparent. And I know, Paige, can I kind of just say that you also had a night where you were like,
Mm-hmm.
I can't do
Mm-hmm.
tonight. Like,
We're
so
human.
yeah. So I just want to be open with you guys, because I'm sure all the staff was like, you're leaving now? Like, they were shocked. So it
Mm-hmm.
happens. I'm not going to make myself stay somewhere where, if I'm hurting, if I'm struggling, I know I should be a bad bitch and power through, but sometimes I do that. But sometimes there's days where I can't, and our visits suffer for that. And but I had to get out of there. I had to.
Definitely.
Even my mom was shocked.
It happens.
That was an early
It
visit.
happens. At least you knew your
Love you, mom.
boundaries.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say, I know where I am, what I need, and I needed to take a break from there. So, and then today I'm kind of like, I wish I wouldn't have, but nothing I can do about it now. But I was glad to come home and just sleep, because I needed it. I really did need it. All right. Well, Paige, did you have anything you want to share? I know I'm talking.
No,
I'm a
no, I
lot.
don't think I do.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to get into our next interview with my fellow RHOA, Real Housewife of Angola member, Jess. And she's going to share the story. She's MBI, which is met before incarceration. She's going to share the story of her and her loved one, Shane, and their journey from, she said, Similac to now. So we hope you enjoy this interview. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Prison Wife interview series. I'm here with
Your friendly
Me?
co-host. Oh,
I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
here. Paige is here. We're all here.
It's a party. It's a
It's a
party.
party.
It is a party.
We're here with Paige, a beautiful Paige, and our lovely, beautiful guest,
Hi.
Jess. And just a little bit, Jess is from. Can I just say she's part of my Real Housewives of Angola crew.
Yes, ma'am.
One of my good friends that I've met from the beginning, from 2016. When I first went to go visit Michael. And I wanted her on the pod because she has such an amazing story of her and her, fiance now. Congratulations.
Thank you so
You're
much.
gonna have to show off that bling, put that bling up in the camera, girl.
Yes, look.
And so her story is MBI, which means met before incarceration. So, Jess, I'm just going to go ahead and let you kind of introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and your fiance Shane's relationship, and from the very early days, because they go back a long, long time.
Yeah, a long, long time. If Shane were here to tell the story, his favorite way to word it is we go all the way back to Similac. Um, our families knew each other. Our families are from a really small town in rural Oklahoma. So our families knew each other. Shane and I literally knew each other as babies. There are pictures floating around in the world of us in somebody's sink together before we were old enough to speak, probably. So I have literally known this man my whole life. We grew up together as young children, toddlers. We played together often. My mom babysat him, all the things. Shane was 5, and he was taken into foster care. I don't want to go too much into that. It's a sad story. It's his story, but I didn't see him for a long time because of that. When he was 15, he and I reunited, came back into each other's lives, and it didn't really remember each other, but uh, I'd always known like who he was. Like I knew who he was because I had heard stories. My family had always talked about him, and then kind of the same for him. So we didn't remember each other, but we knew who each other was, if that makes sense. But we started dating, messing around, whatever teenagers do. Basically, the day the day we reconnected, and yeah. So he's my high school sweetheart. He's my first love, my first kiss, my first everything, and he's the father of my 2 wonderful, amazing, fantastic daughters. Um, he he was 19 when the crime that led to his incarceration was committed. Our girls were 6 months old and not quite 2, babies. So we have literally all 4 of us grown up in prison. Um, my kids don't remember their dad outside of a prison visitation room. And that's sad, but I'm also, in a weird way, proud to say that because of the relationship that my girls, who are essentially grown women now, my oldest daughter is a senior in high school this year. And if you know the relationship she has with her dad, they're so close. They talk every day. Um, this man has never missed a parent teacher conference, whether it be just on speakerphone, on my phone, on video visit sometimes when they've been, more important meetings and he needs to look a teacher or a coach in the eye. Um, he's missed very few games, softball games, wrestling tournaments for our youngest. And so it's sad, but I'm proud of it because I don't know a lot of women who do resonate with my story. I know a lot of women whose baby daddy, got locked up and then they took their kid and they moved on and they married someone else and the other kid was raised by another man, and there's no shame in that. we all have our own path in life. We all have our own journey to happiness. Um, but I feel like everyone I know that has an incarcerated significant other is either stories like both of you who found their partners after incarceration and found love, or women who they were their significant other in the free world, but post incarceration couldn't make it work. And I think it's really cool that my family has.
It is
It,
it is really cool. I love that the whole aspect, and like I remember when Gigi, and obviously I know that you guys don't have family visits, but I like didn't put it all together. I'm like, "Wait, this is so cool. Like you guys have this amazing story." I was like, "She needs to be on the pod like immediately." That's
Yeah, I'm
awesome.
so excited that you guys wanted to have me. And when Gigi and some of our other Real Housewives, when they were like, Jess, you have to tell your story. I was like, why? Who wants to hear my boring life? Because in all actuality, it's very boring. It's very normal. It's very regular. It's just me and my partner and our kids, and we do regular, boring things every day. Um, but it is cool. Like when they said it to me through their eyes, I was like, yeah, that's not something you see a lot of families experience. And it hasn't always been easy. I definitely don't want to like paint this picture of just like it's me and him and we fell in love at 15 and we've raised these girls and they're smart and they're perfect and they're everything. And they are. Don't get me wrong. They're everything. But we're 35 years old now.
Mhm.
We're not the same people we were when we met 20 years ago. We're not the same people we were 16 years ago when he became incarcerated. We're not the same people we were 10 years ago. And there's been a lot of ups and downs, and just like Gigi, congratulated us on our engagement. After 20 years, we finally decided to settle down and stop being crazy, stop being chaotic to each other, with each other, for each other. And we've been engaged for, I don't know what, Gigi, 2 weeks? Has it been two
yeah.
weeks?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, no, it's almost what? Yeah. About a little over 2 weeks now. Yeah.
Yeah, like it not long at all. You go through a lot of growth during incarceration. I feel like you guys know that because you know your partners well and you know their story. It, and not to take away any of your flowers, but like you don't know it because you weren't sitting in the passenger seat watching it unfold and watching the hard choices that they have to make in the early days of incarceration, the hard choices that are made navigating incarceration. And my partner, my fiance,
Say it,
he
girl. Say it.
he is a good man, and he shows that in the position he is in his incarceration now. He's a mentor, a peer mentor at Angola. He works in a program that's called the New Man Program. It's a substance abuse program. It's faith based and it's really good. Anyone that doesn't know what it is should look it up because they're really doing some good things for the Louisiana Department of Corrections. But he had to go through that program as a student, as a mentee before he could get the position he is now. And that came from he went down some dark roads. He was a little violent. The first probably 5 years of his incarceration, it was fights, 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 fights. And some of it, I'm just like, yeah, he was 19, 20, 21 years old. He was young. Angola is a rough place. Anyone that knows much about it knows that it's been deemed the bloodiest prison in America for as long as prisons have existed, I think. And for all men, I believe there is a certain extent of you have to earn your respect through physicality, through violence, sometimes, not always. Um, but there was definitely a phase in life where Shane took that to the extreme, and that's what he was known for. And I feel like Gigi can attest to that. He was housed in the
Yeah.
same, he's not on death row like Mike, but in death row, there's 4 tiers. So there's 2 death row tiers, and then there's 2 CCR tiers. CCR is closed cell restriction. Shane spent 6 years of his incarceration in closed cell restriction because homeboy couldn't keep his hands to himself,
Mm-hmm.
and that
Mm-hmm.
was a problem. And when Gigi first met us, I'm sure she told Mike, who I was with, and Mike was probably like, "Don't talk to them. Do not,
No, he did not say
do
that.
not be friends with them." We did our fair share of time at Camp J. I don't know how many Angola wives are out there listening, or how many people who aren't Louisianians know Camp J, but it doesn't even exist anymore because it was so bad. It was the
Like the
worst of the
dungeon.
worst, like the dungeon, maybe
Yeah.
worse than the dungeon. You were in
Mhm.
like a 4x4 cell inside of your 6x9 cell, um, in a turtle suit for 24 hours a day. I mean, they say 23 and 1, but I can think of many times Shane went many, many days without being outside of that box. And I'm not going to say the actions that he was displaying at that time didn't warrant the harshest punishment they had. I'm a firm believer that no one deserves that. Um, the mental toll that that level of isolation takes on you is
Absolutely.
irreparable.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, we had to climb out of some dark days. We did it together. Um, I've seen him at his very worst. He's seen me at my very worst. Unfortunately, our kids have seen both of us at our very worst. But I think our stories, it's not that. It never was that, but it's definitely not that now because I'm proud to tell anyone, who he is, where he is, what he's doing, and it's not, it's not about how he got there anymore because it's not who he is. I think, and not I think, I know that you made a shirt and helped me with it. It says your past.
Is a place of reference, not residence.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if that is not like the billboard to hang over Shane's story, I don't know what
Mm-hmm.
is.
Yeah, and I was gonna say, I told Jess this. I mean, just me and her talking, but the strides that Shane has made and the changes he's made over the years, um, I am I tell her this all the time. Like, I am just so proud of him. And I hope one day, I mean, I'm sure she's told him that, but I got to tell Big Country himself, that I am just so in awe of the changes he's made as a husband or a future husband, a father, a man in general. The Shane that I knew and heard of in 2016, because he was in CCR and he was at 23-1 at that point because he was in a closed cell confinement, to the man he is now, the mentor, the faith-based man now that he is, the father he is. I mean, not that he was ever a terrible father, because I will say this about Shane. He, despite being incarcerated, is an amazing, outstanding father. But just the differences he's made in his life over these past couple years has been like, just, I'm in awe of it, and I'm just so proud of him. I just wanted to say that out there. So put that out into the potty pod, because I tell Jess that all the
Yes.
time. But I hope one day that I can go to your wedding and tell him that and give him the biggest hug, because I see the love that you guys have had over the years, and I've seen the biggest changes in Shane, and I'm just, like I said, I'm just so proud of him.
Yeah. And you're coming to my wedding, Gigi. I don't
Make it.
care if you have to
We
strike a
got to make it
deal with
happen.
James LeBlanc, with Governor Landry himself. You're coming to my wedding. We're going to make them let you in.
Okay. You
They
want to
have
tell him what
years.
happened with the graduation real quick?
Yes, that's what I was just about to
Okay.
say. When Shane graduated from the Newman program, no, not from the program itself, but from the mentorship program, so that he could mentor in the Newman program. at first they'd come out and they're like, you can invite anybody you want. They don't have to be on your approved visitation list. We just have to have their full name, their date of birth, their social, whatever. We have to run a background check on them. Like they have to be, I guess, a safe person to come inside this facility, but anyone can come. And Gigi was like, I want to come. And I was like, great, I want you to come. Let's put you on the list. And then literally the week before the graduation, they came back and they were like, no, she can't come because she's on the visitation list of another incarcerated person. And that's a security risk. A
I've already,
security risk.
and I've already been background checked. Like,
Yeah, like you've checked her. You know she's safe to come in here.
That's
And I
weird.
know there's rules about visiting multiple inmates. So if they had just said that, I maybe would have been like, yeah, okay. But to say she's a security risk, I was like, now y'all stupid.
In California, you can be on multiple people's visiting lists because I
There
know
you
people
go.
that like will leave and then go back and visit someone else. It's not like you know what I mean? That's just like how it is. So I wonder if that's just Louisiana or.
Well, I live in Oklahoma, and it's that way here that you can only be on one visitation list unless you're visiting like blood relatives of each other and like of you.
Hmm.
Like if a mom had two incarcerated sons, she could see both of them. And I believe it's that way in Louisiana too. You
yeah.
have to like prove it's like blood relation. It's
Hmm.
so weird.
Yeah.
Especially because in the visitation rooms in Louisiana, everyone's walking around talking to everyone. I see people get up and go sit at other families' tables and hang out, play cards together. So there's no separation. Why does it matter how many incarcerated people you're friends with? I don't know. Dumb.
Hmm. Another control thing, honestly.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So fingers and toes crossed, y'all. I want to be the flower girl.
Listen, you could go online and get ordained, and then you could just be the person that marries us.
Oh God, that's a lot of pressure.
I'll be like, you can't deny her. She's my ordained.
It's really easy
Minister.
to
I'm a
do.
minister.
It's really easy to do online. You literally click like three buttons.
That's
Oh
what I've
wow.
heard.
Wow. Okay, that might be the backup plan. I mean, I
Okay.
will do my darndest to be the best ordained minister ever if
Okay.
it comes to that.
Plan A, flower girl. Plan
Mhm.
B, ordained minister.
Done.
Yeah.
I wanted you to kind of maybe also talk about how you have kept, because y'all's family unit is so strong and so tight and it's so beautiful. How y'all managed to do this, the because you mentioned that the girls were 6 months and almost 2 years old, so they were very little when he went in. How were y'all able to co-parent and keep this family unit and this bond so tight all these years through incarceration?
Um, through blood, sweat, and tears. Thanks for asking. The early days were hard. When Shane was in the parish jail, he was in Lafayette Parish. And I don't know about all parishes in Louisiana, and things definitely may be different now. This was 15 years ago. You couldn't visit. You couldn't glass visit. You couldn't in person visit.
I think I was going to
Good.
say, I think now it's only video visits.
Yeah,
If you're
it
in
was that
parish.
way then. It was video visits, but not even from home. Like we video visit with Shane through JPay now, but back then I would have to drive to Lafayette, um, be in some building that's on the other side of town of where the jail actually is, and then be on like a phone kiosk thing,
Hmm.
um, for maybe like an hour.
Wow.
We did it once. We did it one time, and then ultimately decided that financially it was stupid. It made no sense. The video was laggy. It was poor quality. The only thing it did is make my children scream at the top of their lungs.
Mhm.
So we just did it. And then he was in parish jail for 3 years. So for the first 3 years, it was no contact, essentially. Shane and I actually, during that period of time, we called it quits. Not quits on our family, never quits on our family. And I guess maybe that's the short answer to answer your question is Shane and I have always said from the day I got pregnant with Zoe, our oldest, our family comes before anything. Our family as a unit comes before us as individuals. It comes before jobs. It comes before anything. Um, and we've always lived true to that. And but that was hard. That was a really hard period of life for us. And we called it quits on us romantically. We decided to pursue other people. And we did. And it didn't last very long. I don't think it lasted the whole 3 years because ultimately he's my person. That's my dude. I don't want anyone else. And he doesn't either. And so but it was just phone calls the whole time he was in the parish jail, just phone calls. And I can remember, and we still joke about it now. Our youngest daughter, who's 16 now, 6 months old at the beginning of that, when she was young, maybe like a year, 13, 14 months old, she'd hang up on her dad every time he called. Like she'd be talking to him and then just like click. And then I would get upset. And she thought it was hilarious to hang up on him. And then she would bring me the phone, call him back, just call him back. And I was like, how am I supposed to tell this child, like, we can't call him back. We can't call him back, big dog. We got to just wait.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like the funny side of it. But then like the same story and like a more sad sense, like sometimes she would hang up on him and then she would lose her mind because she couldn't call him back. And, those days were rough because they were little. They didn't understand anything. Shane and I have also always gone through this incarceration saying we will always be honest with our children, age appropriately honest.
Mm-hmm.
So I never told him he was at work. I never told him he was at school. I know a lot of people did, and that's fine. You got to do what works for your family. But my kids were in daycare telling people their dad was in jail because I wanted them to know. And I didn't ever want them to feel like we had pieces of our lives that they weren't a part of, or that we made decisions with our lives not expecting it to affect them. They were always a part of the equation, even in the bad times. And so honesty, just always being really transparent amongst the four of us. As the girls got older, we let them know more about their dad's story and the crime that was committed that led to his incarceration, the people that were affected by that. My kids are very aware that there is a victim and that the victim has a family, that the victim has a daughter, and that, Shane himself has always said to my girls, like, she also had to grow up without her dad. And I think that's always helped my girls have a clear understanding of the full perspective of things. And then just prioritizing them. The moment he got to Angola, we were immediately making plans. How do we get on the visitation list? When can I come down? I was in school at the time, and I'm a nurse. Anyone who knows anything about nursing school, you can't not be there. So that was hard. So it was like our very first visit. It was like drive down when I get out of school on Friday, literally drive all night, check into the hotel long enough to shower, wake the girls up, dress them, drive to Angola, visit, and then pass out at the hotel after visit that first Saturday. Um, and then visit Saturday and then drive all night again so that I could go to school Monday morning on no sleep.
Wow.
And it sucked and it was hard and it was terrible. And it was like, oh, poor me. My life was so hard. But the family was always the priority. So it didn't matter. It didn't matter what we had to go without sleep. The girls needed to see their dad. They needed to be reintroduced to their dad as soon as possible. And I'll never forget that first visit ever because Shane and we were terrified. Like, are they going to remember him for 3 years? Really, really, truly almost 4 by the time we were allowed to visit in person. Are they going to remember him? He's just been this voice on the phone. Are they going to want to hug him? How's he going to react if they don't want to hug him? We had a million questions running through our minds, and we were terrified. And I remember we walked in that CCR room, and Shane was already in there, and he was pacing, waiting for us to come in. So we came in, he turned around, he saw us, and our youngest daughter, Brinley, who is her dad's clone, her dad's right hand, her dad's best friend, and also the one that hung up on him all the time. But she just, my dad, and just darted across the room and into his arms. And there she sat until they made us leave. And then when we left, um, growing up in foster care, Shane has always been hyper aware of the feeling of leaving your parent behind. You know, for him, it was in like a DHS parental visitation room. Um, so we spent a lot of that day, even from hello, preparing them for goodbye, because he didn't want them to feel the way he felt leaving that room without him, you know. And it didn't work. They still kind of lost their minds, and why can't dad come with us? And but he's our dad, and you know. And I said, but dad lives here. But we have a house, mom. We have a house. We do have a house, but dad can't come. You know, he has to stay here. And but he's just always been really tuned in. Even in the days, you know, the Camp J days, the CCR days, the headbutting prison guards for sport days. He's always been a separate man with our kids, and with me. You know, like I think I said earlier that when Shane and I got engaged, we finally decided to stop being crazy and chaotic to each other. I don't want that to sound like Shane was ever like abusive, or Shane has never raised his voice at me. He's never raised his voice at our girls. He's never called me outside of my name. The chaos we put each other through was never anything like that. It was more so just him making choices that made life harder on us, him making choices that kept him in CCR, him making choices that sent him to Camp J, him making choices that made him lose visits for 6 months at a time, and me being really shitty when I would get pissed about that, because the girls and I would have time off school and time off work and time planned, and now it's, oh, we can't come because you stabbed this guy last week.
Mm-hmm.
And I laugh when I say that, and I shouldn't, because it's very serious, and I'm glad he's not living his life on that path anymore. But um, you know, that's the kind of chaos we went through. He's always been very hyper aware of our children's feelings, of the impact that his incarceration has on their lives, the impact of growing up without him present is going to have on their lives. And it's just kind of always been his mission to overcome that in any and every way possible. So, like I said, parent teacher conferences on speakerphone. He knows their softball schedules better than their coach does. I promise you. He's always asking them, "Are you prepared for this test? Are you prepared for that test? Do you want me to study with you? Let's schedule a video visit, and I'll go over this with you." Like, book club. Shane's read every Harry Potter book. The crazy man who was locked in death row CCR, headbutting guards. I did not make that up. He did that. He also was reading all 7 Harry Potter books because our daughter said, "Dad, let's read them together. Let's make a book club." Our girls still do book club with their dad. Our youngest daughter has she has also found a relationship with Jesus. I'm not a Christian, so I don't ever want to speak in a way that isn't like what I'm supposed to be saying about that. So found a relationship with Jesus. She's a Christian. Shane's a Christian. They do a weekly Bible study together. They do a daily devotional together. They're hand in hand in their path, and it's beautiful to see. And they both kind of went on that path independently, and then that's where they are today, and it's really beautiful to see.
Wow.
Yeah. I feel like all of that just really speaks to you guys being amazing parents, you know, an amazing mother, an amazing father. And I think, I know it was chaotic, but you make it sound so, effortless. And like being a mom regularly is not easy. So I can't imagine the added of, oh, let's go to prison, or we're gonna do all this. Like that's
Um, my kids have a weird emotional attachment to Angola, and they'll be the first people to tell you that. Like it's almost their second home. Like
hmm
they've grown up getting patted down by prison guards. We were talking about holidays in the Love Within Walls group. One of the Louisiana wives had posed a question to about holiday tradition. She had also posed that to us in our like Real Housewife chat, and I told them like, "Oh, my girls have never had a Christmas at home. Like we do nothing at home. I don't put up a tree. Why? I won't be here. I'll be at Angola Christmas
hmm
Day." Um, and again, like that's sad to say. My kids have never had a Christmas tree, but why? My kids have never spent Christmas at home. It's just one more thing I got to take down and box up later. Every Christmas tree they've ever had, Louisiana DOC put up for them, and some of them are real cute. So shout out to them. Good job, staff at Angola. They can decorate a tree. Uh, but yeah, that it's hard. It's a lot of work, and you're right. Being a mom in any light, under any circumstances, it's hard. But when it's also the only thing you've ever done, it's
hmm
not any harder than what anyone else does. It's just the way we do it.
hmm Total. Or the guards, did they ever give like your daughters a hard time just to say like, I've heard it sounds like the guards in Louisiana are a little bit more kind than some of the ones I've experienced. So I just am curious, like, are they like, since they know you
Well,
guys too, like,
so it depends on the guard, depends on the day, depends on the side of the bed they rolled out on. um,
yeah.
because we have had guards sit down at the table and teach my kids how to play checkers. And we've had guards threaten to lock my husband in the dungeon for putting Zoe's ponytail up for her because he could have been hiding something in her hair. And I'm like, people smuggle drugs in here, not out. What's he putting in her hair?
Yeah.
Uh, like, whatever. Yeah, so just it depends on the day. There are some staff at Angola, and I know Gigi speaks highly of them, and people probably think we're crazy, but it's a whole different world. It's a whole different place. A lot of those people live on the prison compound, and because of that, they do view the inmates, the incarcerated men, differently than in other states and maybe even in other prisons in Louisiana. So, like, there are people there who, when we walk in the door, like, oh, the Peacock girls are here, roll out the red carpet, like, um, my kids get Christmas presents, birthday presents, I haven't seen you in a while presents from people that work there, people that live there. It is a family community, but it's still prison.
hmm
Uh, One story I always tell just about how ridiculous they can be is in the early days of visiting. Now we go through like an infrared scanner. They slide you through, and then you're on your way. But before they had that technology,
Stop. Are
you
you
would
going
be
to talk
like,
about the dog?
the dog,
Okay, go
yeah.
ahead.
Like
Sorry.
you would get wanded and patted down, and then you would stand in this little box, and they would blow this like industrial strength fan into the box. Then on the wall on the other side there's a drug dog, and so like the fan's blowing so that the drug dog can get a good sniff of whatever you have, I guess.
That's
And
crazy.
that was part of the check-in process, and my children love dogs. They love dogs. And so I remember taking probably 6 or 7 year old Brinley in there, and I was like, "Oh, she'll go in the box with me." And no, she's not going in the box with you. You have to be checked in separately. She has to go in by herself. And I am her mother. I know what's going to happen when you put her in this box. So I'm like, "Yeah, put her in the box, I guess." So they put her on the box immediately. She's down on all fours. She's sticking her hand through the crate. She's trying to play with the dog. And they're so mad. They're like, "She can't do that." And I'm like, "She's 6.
Yeah, like what
You
do you
tell her that you have to check her for drugs,
yeah.
and that's why she can't play with the dog."
hmm
She loved that dog. We wish him well. I hope he's living a happy life in retirement somewhere.
Yes. Oh my god. That's
I
cool.
thought you were gonna say she freaked out because that box is like, if you're claustrophobic, it's like hell. It's, think of like a old '90s telephone booth, but like half the size.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
then you
yeah.
have this like gust of wind blowing on you, and there's like a glass window so you can see and look out, and the dog's on the back end of it. But um I thought you were gonna say she freaked out because I know the first time I went in that thing, I was shaking like a leaf. I was terrified.
Yeah, I definitely had a more negative experience with it than she did. All she knew was there's a dog in
There's a
there.
puppy.
Mhm.
The puppy. So she had to get to it, and the guards hated that. And they were like yelling at me, like, she's 6. You tell her why she can't play with that dog. Like, it's weird that you're checking my 6-year-old this thoroughly anyway. Whatever,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then we've gone through periods of time where they didn't want to let my girls visit because they like to make up new policies every once in a while. Like they just get bored on a Tuesday, I think, and what can we implement this weekend? And Louisiana DOC's handbook says everyone over the age of 18 has to have a photo ID to visit. Fine, standard protocol, whatever. But they went through a period of about 6 months where they decided everyone over the age of 13 had to have a photo ID. Like, why? They're minors. And they would fight with me like every time we visited in that time period, which is, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 times, but they have to have a photo ID. Well, they don't have a photo ID. They have to have a school ID. We live in small town Oklahoma. There are, I think, right at 100 kids or less graduating in my daughter's senior class this year. We don't have photo IDs. They all know who you are when you're in that building.
Mhm.
And then they would argue with me. Every school has photo IDs. Well, you live in Louisiana. Come to Oklahoma and you tell them that because I promise you we don't. And I would have to literally point it out to them in their handbook what their rule is. And we won that battle every time, fortunately. And my kids did get to visit their dad. But I'm hateful about it now. Like Zoe's 17. She has a driver's license. Um, my kids have multiple photo IDs at this point in life, and I won't let them bring them. I'm like, no, you're a minor. You can check in under my ID until you're 18.
Mhm.
Like, I'm just proving a point now.
Mhm.
Sticking it to them, not giving them what they want.
You know what? Any way you can. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I don't know. It's there's both sides. We get both sides of that coin. Sometimes we get special treatment because I have these cute little kids that grew up in Angola, and sometimes they're crappy to me because I feel like they just rolled out of bed on the wrong side that day.
And Jess, I have a question about how you guys have. I know you mentioned that y'all split up for a couple years and then y'all got back together, but how do y'all keep the love alive all these years up to the point now where you're in the process of getting married at Angola?
Um, I don't know that we do anything special.
Okay.
I I think I think we got incredibly lucky to be born into the same universe at the same time and to find each other because I've always known this is so ridiculously sappy. I've always known that Shane was my forever. I knew it when I was 5, I knew it when I was 15. I knew it when I was 20 and we took a break. I knew it 2.5 weeks ago when he asked me to be his wife. Like I've always known, and I think he has too. And the circumstances have been challenging, but the love never has been. He's Shane's hilarious, and he's one of the smartest people I've ever met. And he keeps me laughing, and he keeps me thinking, and he offers intelligent conversation. And is it too sappy to just say loving him is the easiest thing I've ever done? Ever.
Not at all. I
Mm-mm.
love it.
I hope he would say the same. I'm kind of a lot. I'm just kidding. He would say the same.
So I gotta ask before Gigi does, and she might already know the answer. What are
Okay,
your
I won't say anything.
guys' zodiac signs?
Oh, our zodiac sign. So I am a Gemini sun, Cancer moon, Leo rising.
Okay.
And Shane is a Sagittarius sun,
Ooh,
Sagittarius moon, Virgo rising.
Oh, we have the same moon. Okay.
Yeah.
that's quite the
Quite the pairing, isn't
yeah,
it?
Oh.
definitely. Your
Yeah.
Cancer moon, I so see that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. And Gemini and Sagittarius, they're sister signs. So maybe that's how
Mhm.
we've kept the love alive all these years. The universe predestined it for us. We're just supposed to work. And
Mm-hmm.
we did.
Those things happen. I love that.
Yeah.
What are your daughter? Your one daughter is a Cancer. I know that.
Both my girls are
Oh,
cancers. Yeah.
beautiful.
Yeah. I've got
Wow.
a June cancer and a July cancer.
Mm.
And am I a bad mom if I don't know their big three? I don't know. I don't know either one of them's moon or rising.
Now you gotta look it
I'm gonna have
up.
to look that up. I'm gonna have to look it
Yeah,
up now.
yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Well, Jess, thank you so much for
Yes.
sharing you and Big Country, aka Shane's story. And we hope so that when y'all have your wedding, we can share some of the pictures of your beautiful day. And I hope that I can be there and they won't give me any crap this time.
No, you're gonna be
And I'm gonna
there.
be
Just
throwing
tell it to the
petals.
universe, Gigi. We're doing
I'm
this.
putting it out there.
Yes.
Do you know when you want to get married, Jess, or are you just like going with the flow?
Oh, I'm just going with the flow. It's
Yeah,
a process in
yeah,
Louisiana. You have to be interviewed. You have to do a lot of. You have to do marriage counseling. You have to do a lot of steps. I just don't want to ruffle the waters. Like we've been on this journey 20 years. Let's just do it. If they
yeah.
call me today and say we're on the books for tomorrow, I'm packing tonight. Like
Hmm.
whatever, whatever it is.
That's a great attitude to have.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Jess, for sharing your story. And we can't wait to see whenever it happens, the wedding photos. And
Oh, my friend's here.
oh, there.
Is
Oh,
that
wait,
a
I see her.
kitten?
This
Oh,
is her
Stevie
new
Nicks.
kitten. This is
Stevie
her
Nicks.
Stevie Nicks.
Oh
There's Stevie Nicks.
no.
Can you
My
tell a
house
little
is
bit
just.
about how y'all got her? Because it was kind of like she just kind of showed up, huh?
Yeah, so Brindley had a cat that she was feral and she like tamed and trained and domesticated. And she had that sweet baby for about 8 years. And her name is Minnie Girl, and she passed away
Mm.
about 2 months ago. And Brindley was devastated. She lost her best friend. She lost a piece of her heart in Minnie. And she was at church camp the first week of July. And I was just home chilling, cleaning the house. And our puppy dog was outside going potty, losing her mind, just barking, running in circles, freaking out, behaving like I've never seen her behave. She's elderly. She's 13. She doesn't get spunky anymore. So I go outside. I'm like, Cleo, what are you doing? Why are you being a crazy lady? Come in the house. And so I just bring her in. And then she's acting crazy in the house, just running in circles, rolling around by the front door, like, will not sit still. And I'm like, what is wrong with you? And so I let her back outside. She runs straight off the front porch, right under my daughter's car. And with her little nose, just pushes out this tiny baby kitten who was soaking wet
Aw.
and probably not old enough to be weaned from her mom at the time. And I had no idea what I was going to do, but I brought her in and I cleaned her up and I got her to eat. And Zoe, my older daughter who was home with me, said she looks like baby Minnie. And she FaceTimed her sister at church camp. And once Brinley saw her, the rest is history. This cat was not leaving the house. And we all firmly believe that Minnie sent Stevie Girl to Bryn to take care of her now that she's gone because she acts just like her.
Wow.
Mm.
She acts just like her. So that's our Stevie Girl. She's my house is full of opinionated women. You saw she had to come make her presence known when she saw that we're
I
friends.
love that. It's my place.
Yes.
Seriously.
I don't know what Shane's gonna do when he comes home. Just strong, opinionated women, estrogen everywhere. he's no longer going to be big country. He's going to have to sit down and shut up somewhere.
He's gonna be the best. He's the best girl dad ever. Just saying.
Such a girl dad. He wears friendship bracelets. Like I made all of these, and we make him friendship bracelets. The girls take them all the time. If anyone from Angola is listening, don't rain on our parade. We know we're not supposed to. We're gonna keep doing it anyway. So he's got ones that say "girl dad," like in my girl dad era.
I saw those before when Gigi sent me the picture this morning. I was like, "Oh my gosh, does he get to keep those? I love that." That's
He just
awesome.
puts them on, and like they're little beaded bracelets. They don't give him too hard of a time about it.
Yeah.
So technically, no, he's not supposed to keep them, but everyone
Harmless.
knows they're from his kids, and they're harmless.
Yeah,
Harmless contraband, okay?
exactly.
Harmless.
Yeah, fully.
Well, we love you, Jess. We love the girls. We love
Yes.
Shane, aka Big Country, and like I said, I'm just so proud of the changes he's made. But even when he was in his dark days, he still y'all kept the family unit so tight, and it's so beautiful to see the girls grow up. I remember them being little bitty on the buses going back to CCR Death Row, and now they're driving. They're driving us. So
Yes,
um,
yes. Now they
it
drive us so we can have margaritas after visit.
yes. Shout out El Mahor.
That's right.
But thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. It's truly beautiful to see y'all's family together always in the pictures, and we can't wait to see the wedding pictures.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, thank you guys for having me. This was fun.
Yes, thanks,
Thank
Jess.
you. All right. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed that lovely story interview from Jess. But hey, I'm getting a phone call, Paige.
Who is it?
Hello, this is a prepaid collect call from
Fred.
an inmate at Florida Correctional Institution.
Uh-oh, Florida Fred's calling. That means it's time for your questions and speaky pipes. Going into our Instagram questions. And guys, if you don't know what we're talking about, on our Instas, go follow us over there. We post a question comment section every Friday in our stories where you can ask us questions or leave us a nice little comment. So, our first question comes from our amazing OG Waller, Addie at Chapters and Change. She's been with us from day one for sure. She asks, how do you explain certain aspects of social media to your loved one?
I don't know. I feel like it's harder because, Joseph went in back when like MySpace was still the thing and like Facebook was just kind of heating up, like people were
Mhm.
just starting to use Facebook and stuff. So like sometimes when I explain like Twitter and tweets and stuff to him, he gets kind of confused, and TikTok and like For You page and stuff. I think some of it I just choose not to because it's like there's some stuff he can know and some stuff it's like I'm not even going to explain it, but I like to try to keep him up with the hip, like the slang and stuff.
Rizzler?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, all those things, the mewing.
Oh, the new one is demure.
Oh,
Whatever
yes.
like
That means small and petite and quiet and demure, very demure.
very demure.
Yeah.
What is it? I'm mindful.
I saw
I'm demure.
I saw a TikTok today that was like all of you girls that keep calling yourself very demure, you're demonic. And I was like, okay.
It's not demuring for
Yeah.
you. Sorry,
It's not very
honey.
demure to say.
I can only imagine, but imagine if your husband went in 1999 before even most people did not have. They might have had the little Nokia cell phones. Remember those with the change the
Mhm.
face things at the mall? Um, Michael does not know social media at all. I've had to really break things down for him, almost like I'm the tech person breaking it down for someone that doesn't understand how to do something on a computer or a protocol or all of that. It's almost like really explaining. He doesn't know MySpace, he didn't know Twitter, he didn't know God, TikTok, anything. So, I mean, he sees stuff on TV, but he has a lot of questions every time I talk about something. And he stays hip through TV, obviously, because there's social media aspects on TV, but when they talk about it in the news or something, but yeah, it's a work in progress. I mean, if he ever got out, the world has changed so much from 1999. And sometimes I'm like, I kind of want it to go back to 99 because that was when the World Wide Web, like AOL, was like, with that
You'd have to be
modem.
like, get off the landline so I can get
Yeah.
online.
I need get off the phone. I want to use the internet.
Yeah.
That's what he left with. Thankfully, they have the tablets, and that's kind of been a way to kind of immerse them into more techie things. I used to make fun of him because, when we were in high school, we had typing classes,
So do we, yeah.
and so, when he uses the kiosk to write an email, I just said, "Oh, I just can see you sitting there like a flamingo, just pecking at the keyboard,
Aw.
one finger at a time." And he was like, it was so funny because, let me tell this story real quick while we got this question. He's like, I don't know. I have to sit. It takes me forever to write an email, and he sounds like an old man sometimes. And I go, "Why, baby? What's wrong?" He's like, "Well, because I have to sit there and hit the space bar to move to the next line." I said, "Booby, there's an enter button. You just hit that." So this bitch was sitting there hitting the
Stop.
space bar to move to the next line to move down the email.
Oh.
My hubby's in a box.
Yeah.
So it's hard. We have fun with it though. I do, him and our love language is kind of making fun of each other a little bit. So in a fun way, in a healthy way, obviously I give him a little bit of shit, but at the same time I'm his teacher. I'm basically his teacher. And I have to be patient with him because he has literally no clue what's going on when it comes to social media sometimes. So definitely take a deep breath. Remember, there are eons behind us, and just take your time and really explain things. And you have to remember, I always think of it like this. If people are asking for how do I go about doing this without getting angry, without getting frustrated, without losing my patience, because believe me, I've been there. Just remember, if you're trying to learn something, like pretend you're trying to learn basketball, if someone doesn't tell you the rules of basketball and go step by step with you, you're not going to know how to play. So if you want them to be able to learn and understand, you have to make it user friendly. You have to go step by step, and you also have to be very descriptive. And just be very patient. You have to become the teacher. It's easy for me because I'm a teacher, but if you're not a teacher, you have to become that middle school teacher for them in a sense. So, Paige, do you teach Joe?
Not really, just because he has a laptop for school that he gets to use. So he likes to actually claim that he is a fast typer, and he actually anytime he hears me typing, he'll say that he's faster than me or that like I'm not typing fast enough, which I just want to say and anyone who went to high school, middle school with me can back me up on this. Always had the fastest typing time in class. So
Yes, 145 words per
like
minute.
a lot. And he's like, "Oh yeah, I could type faster than you." Babe, no you can't. And I'm even going to say it right now when we're listening to this back, you can't. So
And we learned to type. Speaking of typing, we're going off on tangent, but it's so fun to go relive the 90s. Going back to typing, like we learned how to type and not look at the keyboard.
yeah, we had to tape a piece of paper over our hands.
Yeah, my kids are like, "How can you type and not look at it?" I said, "Because I know where the keys
That's how we had
are."
to learn.
Hashtag shout out Mavis Beacon teaches typing. If you've ever had to use that for your typing class.
Mine was called Typing Town, and it was a bunch of
Oh.
animals. Like a cat was like the main person, and he was like, "Let's go down to Typing Town. We're learning lots of fun." I still know it.
Nice. And when I started in middle school teaching, they used to have a typing game that the kids loved. It was like a car racing game. I used to smoke my students. every time. They're like, you can't type faster than me. I'm like, watch this. And I'd leave them in the dust. So, but I mean, I know that's not social media, but this technology
One
in
of the things,
general,
yeah.
one of the many things, but social media, just kind of, I don't know, just go slow with them and break it down and make it simple for them to understand what each aspect of social media is. Going live, what that means. Like, they don't understand that. I mean, they can kind of get an idea if they watch a lot of TV, or if they have access to certain things like a tablet or a laptop or whatever. But just be patient. Just be patient. You just got to remember, they're stuck in the Stone Age in there. They're in a little time capsule. All right. Our next question comes from Luck Yell. Can you discuss how each couple decided to get married?
Well, Joseph wanted to go ahead and just ask me on a video call one day. That's how he decided. I mean, I think I kind of decided in my head that I was all about this man when I hadn't even met him and we were only having phone conversations and video visits, and I was like, why is my heart doing like this like crazy cartwheel like Olympic dance? And I didn't know when we would get like engaged, but I would assume it would have been like sometime like after we had met, and eventually, no, one day when we were on a video visit, we're just like sitting here, and then all of a sudden he's just like he says something like really nice, which he does all the time, and then he like looked serious at me, and he was like, I want to spend my life with you. He's like, will you marry me? And I was like, are you being serious? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, but are you being serious though? Like what? And it sounds really, you know, corny or basic or anything, but anyone who knows me knows that that's like pretty much exactly what I would have wanted. Like the idea of anyone like getting on their knee in like a visiting room setting and like having people look at me. No, no, no. Like that's like no one look at me. Like that is honestly my ideal way of.
Yeah, I could see that. You want the more intimate,
Yes.
just
Yes.
personal. You don't want to show.
No,
You
and
just
there would have
want,
been no
yeah.
way that he could have even gotten on his knee in person, which actually that's a lie. When we had our first in-person visit, I made him ask me it again so that I said, you can ask me in person. And
Aw.
he wasn't allowed on his knee because of COVID, but
Yeah.
it was nice.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so y'all have been married for
Officially, like a year and a half.
okay. But y'all been together 3 years total.
Yeah, 3.5.
Okay. Yeah. And so do you want to go about the process y'all went through to get your domestic partnership?
Is that what I thought it was? How'd you decide?
Oh, how do we decide? Okay, my bad. Oh no. Decided. Yes, you're right.
Okay.
Thank you.
No, I just
Gosh. Woo.
it's Sunday.
It's that day. For me, Michael and I are not we've talked about this in previous pods, but Michael and I are not legally married, but we did decide to do what we call a commitment ceremony. We had made that decision. Obviously, we knew from the jump, it was we knew we were soulmates from like a few months in. Even though things did move very fast, but we just kind of knew, and we both just said, and 2 years after we kind of were more of official, he asked me, he was able to, it was before COVID. So he was able to get down on one knee and ask me to marry him and gave me a ring. And then about 6 months later, we decided to do a commitment ceremony, which was just the two of us. We had vows that we did, and we had cake. And we just did it in the visiting room. And there might be a day where I'm starting to wrap my brain around it, where eventually I do want to legally marry him. But that's our decision process as far as right now, just doing the commitment ceremony. But definitely in the future, there's probably going to be a legal wedding, like an official wedding at some point. We just got to ask somebody to officiate for us. So we're waiting to do that.
Wow, will they let me come? I'm not on anyone's visiting list in Louisiana.
Yes, I can get you to come. You can be my
Period.
flower girl.
When that day happens, I'll be there. I'll be the flower girl.
Yes. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. All right. And next up, we have our speaky pipe. We did get one speaky pipe.
Yay.
Yay. I've not listened to it, so I have no clue who it's from. Let me pull it up. It's anonymous, so we're just going to say anonymous unless they say their name in the message. Here we go.
Hey, ladies, it's Mama. I just wanted to remind you, if you haven't heard today, that you are both amazing. You're doing a great job, and you're reaching out and sharing with people things that they need to remember about themselves. That watching you grow reminds us out here that we can always grow. And whether that's us as women, because I am no longer in that world, but I will always have a heart for that world. Or just, prison wives, girlfriends, whatever, just life in general, moms in general, educators in general, because we're all educators of somebody. Just wanted to remind y'all, let y'all know that every day that you get up, every day you put on your shoes, get going, whether you brush your hair or not, you're doing an amazing job. And just think y'all need to remember that. So take time and do a shout out to yourselves, because you can't be your own biggest cheerleader, and it's going to be hard to be a cheerleader for anybody else. So shout out to both of y'all.
Oh my God.
Wow, I feel like she talked to my soul right there. Like she was like literally like, I was like, okay. Thank you.
We love you, Mama. Thank you so much. Oh my God.
I think both
got
of
me,
us,
like,
after our week, we needed.
Yeah, listen, like, I don't know, God, the beings, whatever, the universe knew we needed that message. So thank you, Mama. We love you. And shout out to Paige and shout out to Gigi.
Mm-hmm.
So we're giving ourselves a shout out. Wait, let me do our little wait. We got our own shout out first before we do other people's shout outs. Thanks, Mama. We love you. And that touched my soul. I just need you to know that. So thank you for that beautiful speaky pipe. All right. Well, now we're going to get into our shout outs, even though our shout outs are us. But I do have a shout out. Do you have a shout out?
I do. I have one.
Okay.
So I hope you cannot hear my child in the other room making fart noises with his mouth. Oh my God.
I love it. If even if so, yes, bring it.
So my shout out is actually to Bianca Tylek, and if you don't know her, she is one of like the I don't know what her exact role is. I think she's the executive director of Worth Rises, which we've talked about several times on this podcast. It's an amazing foundation. I just wanted to give a shout out to her because beyond her work that she does for Worth Rises, I love the way that she is always calling people out on Twitter. She is calling out all of the companies. She'll at them. She'll say all these things. This one specifically that I was like, oh, I got to give her a shout out for this. Who is this? VP of Criminal Justice, Economic Executive, Probable Causation. It's some group that they're talking about the wellness and safety of COs and all of these things. And she just said, I hope that you talk about, this is what Bianca said to this woman. She said, I hope you talk about the impact of increasing accessibility of communication for incarcerated people by the way of free calls has on officer safety. Here's a round of past independent research to get you started. And she literally sent like a Word doc of all of the research that they did on how free communication while incarcerated is actually helpful and less of a safety issue for COs. And it's like, so you can't even try to use it like that now. So it's like, I just love seeing her do that. Whenever that was in my feed, I like had to reply it. I was like, get them.
Yes. Oh my God, what a bad bitch.
Yeah, she's iconic.
Shout out.
Yeah.
I love it. All right, my shout out is it's not going to make sense. I know I'm trying to do the best to give a backstory, but my shout out is to Anna an OG Waller in Love Within Walls and one of our Patreon people. So she is an official OG Waller. She is I call her like my little sister, my soul little sister. She makes me laugh. She knew I was having a rough week. I don't even think she knew I was having a rough week, but she just came through and made me laugh. We cut up. I don't know if it must have been Friday night. We were just laughing and having just amazing time, going back and forth, just talking. We talk every day. So she made me laugh my ass off. I'm going to play this short clip. We tag each other in our Instagram stories just to give y'all a little backstory, because it's kind of like a moment where you kind of had to be there, but it was just funny. And she was telling me that her cousin was probably going to be stalking my page because we tag each other, and she was trying to get out prison podcast and she couldn't get it out. So then finally she just fucking squealed it out, and it's so funny. And I told her I'd share it. She's going to be mortified, but here we go. This is why I love Anna.
She saw prison podcast host, prison podcast.
I had to play that because she couldn't get it out, and I was just dying. I was like, I have to play that on the pod. Prison podcast. So, yeah. So thank you, Anna, for making me laugh. I literally had to run to the bathroom. I was about to pee on myself. So thank you, Anna, for being the light during the week where I was having a rough week. So like I said, I don't think she even knew. But I love you, and I could not do this without you for sure, because you brighten my day every day and you make me smile and laugh every day. So shout out to Bianca and Anna. We love you guys. All right. Now it's time for the meme of the week. We have one that kind of represents us this week. Unfortunately, it's one of my favorites. I keep it saved on my phone. Here we go. I don't know if you know Jay Charles from Vine, but there's a picture of him crying, sobbing in the mirror, taking a picture of himself. And it says, I don't want to go through things that don't kill me, but make me stronger anymore. Totally feel that as a prison wife.
I'm in on that.
Yeah. So that will be posted today, and check it out. But that's totally can feel this way all day. I'm done. Or like, you ever see the one with the guy with the cell phone and he's on the phone and he's like, it's like, I don't want to be on God's like strongest warriors list or something like that. Like, that's me. Every year I post that for like the new year. So that's our meme of the week. All right. Well, Paige, do you have anything else?
I don't think I do, other than we'll miss you. I'll miss you. We both will miss you. And if you're on Patreon, shout out to our Patreon subscribers. We'll try to plug in and keep you guys updated. I figured out how to almost post videos on there.
Okay.
We're working on it.
Yeah, we're learning Patreon as we go, but yeah, there is a certain process to posting videos. We definitely learned that the hard way, trying to post and it never posted. But if you want to join us, come on over. It's $5 for the whole month. That helps support the pod, and you get extra, additional, raw, uncut, and sexy content. So we will miss you guys for the next 2 weeks, but we will be back stronger, better than ever, and we will be here for you. If you need to, slide into our DMs in the meantime, but take care of you. We love you guys so much. Our Morgan Wallers, we love you endlessly. And we will be back in 2 semanas, 2 weeks. All right, guys, we love you.
Love y'all.
Besitos. We'll miss you so much, but don't be a stranger.
Yeah, hit us up.
All right.
If you think about us,
If you're missing us, let us know.
We're probably missing you too. So
yes. All right, guys, we love you. Have a great week and a great weekend. See you in 2 weeks.